First contact and the warning. The quantum detection array at the Mauna Kea Observatory hadn't registered anything unusual in its 15 years of operation. That changed on an ordinary Tuesday morning when Dr. Maya Patel's coffee nearly slipped from her fingers. The readings on her monitor defied everything she knew about physics. A massive object had just appeared at the edge of our solar system, moving in ways that should have been impossible. "System check," she commanded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The array's diagnostic routine came back clean. This was no malfunction. "Get me Director Chen. Now." Within hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed the same readings. A vessel, if it could be called that, 3 kilometers in length and composed of materials that absorbed nearly all electromagnetic radiation, was decelerating as it approached Earth. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, but sensor data suggested it was operating at temperatures near absolute zero. Admiral James Chen stood before the hastily assembled UN Security Council 2 days later, his usually immaculate uniform showing signs of the sleepless nights that had preceded this moment. "The object has maintained its position in geosynchronous orbit for the past 48 hours, he reported. "It's made no attempt at communication, but it's been scanning us extensively. Every frequency, every bandwidth. It's like it's taking a complete inventory of Earth." The chamber erupted in arguments about military responses and first contact protocols. But Chen knew better. Humanity's most advanced weapons would be useless against something that could manipulate space-time itself. They weren't dealing with merely advanced technology. They were facing something that operated on principles they couldn't begin to comprehend. The first message came without warning, bypassing every encryption and security measure humanity had developed. It appeared simultaneously on every digital display on Earth, from military command centers to children's tablets. "We are the arbiters," the message began, its perfect translation into every human language, suggesting a deep understanding of Earth's communications. "Your species has been selected for evaluation. You have achieved sufficient technological advancement to warrant observation, but insufficient wisdom to guarantee your survival. We will determine if you deserve to continue." Dr. Patel, now working from a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, studied the message's encoding with growing fascination. "It's not just a translation," she explained to Chen over a secure link. "The message itself is adaptive. It restructures itself to be perfectly understood by each recipient, regardless of age or education level. This isn't just advanced technology. It's like they've mastered the fundamental nature of information itself." The arbiter's next communication came 3 days later, after world governments had barely managed to prevent mass panic. "Your evaluation begins now. We have seeded your solar system with 12 challenges. Each will test a different aspect of your species' potential. You have 1 Earth year to complete them all. Failure at any stage will result in immediate restriction of your technological development to prevent you from becoming a threat to galactic stability." The implications were clear. Fail, and humanity would be forcibly devolved to a pre-industrial state. Success meant joining the ranks of advanced civilizations, but the arbiter's tests had an unprecedented 99.9% failure rate. The following weeks saw the greatest mobilization of human resources in history. Traditional power structures crumbled as a new global meritocracy emerged. The best minds and talents were needed, regardless of their origin or background. Dr. Patel found herself leading a team of scientists from former enemy nations, while Admiral Chen coordinated with military forces that had been pointing weapons at each other just months earlier. The first challenge appeared as a quantum anomaly in Earth's orbit, a sphere of pure impossibility that defied the laws of physics as humans understood them. The arbiter's message was simple: understand it. As humanity grappled with this first impossible task, Dr. Patel made an observation that would change everything. "Look at the data structure of their messages," she told Chen late one night, her eyes bright with realization. "They're not just testing our ability to solve these challenges. They're testing how we approach them. The process matters more than the solution." Chen understood immediately. They want to see how humanity adapts, how we work together under pressure. He paused, a slight smile forming. Then let's show them something they've never seen before. The first month of humanity's trial was ending, and with it came a revelation. The arbiters hadn't chosen Earth randomly. They were looking for something specific, something they believed might be hidden within humanity's chaotic, resilient nature. The question was, what made humans different from the countless species that had failed before them? As teams worldwide began coordinating their efforts to understand the quantum anomaly, one thing became clear. Humanity's greatest test wouldn't be solving the challenges themselves, but proving they could evolve beyond their limitations without losing what made them human in the first place. The test begins. The quantum anomaly pulsed with impossible colors as Dr. Maya Patel's team attempted their 47th analysis approach. Traditional sensing equipment had proven useless. The sphere seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, defying conventional observation. But it was the pattern of its defiance that caught Maya's attention. "It's not random," she muttered, staring at the holographic display. "The anomaly isn't just breaking physics, it's breaking it in specific ways, like it's trying to tell us something." Admiral Chen watched from the command center as similar revelations sparked across global research stations. Teams in Beijing, Moscow, and Sao Paulo had independently noticed the same patterns. The quantum anomaly wasn't just a test of humanity's scientific understanding. It was teaching them a new language of reality itself. But the arbiters weren't finished. As teams worldwide grappled with the first challenge, a second manifestation appeared. This time, a series of geometric structures materialized in the Sahara Desert, each one impossibly balanced and composed of materials that shouldn't exist in our universe. These aren't just random challenges, Shen realized during an emergency briefing with global leaders. They're escalating in a specific sequence. Each new test builds on what we should have learned from the previous one. The revelation changed humanity's approach entirely. Instead of treating each challenge as a separate problem, global teams began looking for connections, patterns that linked one impossible task to another. The arbiters watched with increasing interest as humans demonstrated an unexpected capability. The ability to see relationships where other species had seen only chaos. Dr. Patel's breakthrough came during hour 36 without sleep, as she reviewed data from both challenges simultaneously. "The quantum anomaly isn't just defying physics," she announced to her international team. "It's showing us how our understanding of physics is incomplete. And these desert structures, they're physical manifestations of the same principles. Together, they're like a Rosetta Stone for understanding the universe in a completely new way." The global research network exploded with activity as teams began cross-referencing data between challenges. Japanese quantum physicists collaborated with Brazilian archaeologists, finding patterns that neither group could have seen alone. Australian Aboriginal scholars provided insights into the geometric structures that revolutionized how European mathematicians approached the quantum anomaly. But it wasn't just the scientific community that was transforming. As news of each small breakthrough spread, humanity began to change. Children in schools worldwide started learning about quantum mechanics alongside basic arithmetic, their young minds more readily accepting these new impossible realities. Artists and musicians began creating works inspired by the quantum anomaly's impossible colors, leading to entirely new forms of expression that somehow helped scientists better understand the phenomena they were studying. The arbiter's third challenge arrived just as humanity was beginning to grasp the first two. A series of energy signatures appeared in Earth's atmosphere, forming what seemed to be a complex neural network on a planetary scale. But this time, humanity was ready. Teams worldwide had already begun adapting the lessons learned from the quantum anomaly and the desert structures. "They're not just testing our scientific capabilities," Admiral Chen explained to a newly formed global council. "They're testing our ability to evolve our thinking, to break free from traditional constraints while maintaining our essential nature." This understanding proved crucial when the atmospheric network began to affect Earth's weather patterns. Instead of panicking, humanity adapted. Farmers shared generations of weather wisdom with climatologists. Indigenous communities provided insights into atmospheric patterns that complemented the most advanced computer models. But it was Dr. Patel's team that made the most startling discovery. Hidden within the quantum anomaly's fluctuations was a message, encoded in a way that could only be understood by combining multiple human perspectives simultaneously. The arbiters aren't just evaluating us, she explained to Chen, her hands shaking with excitement. They're looking for something specific, something they've seen hints of in other species, but never fully realized. Something about the way humans think, the way we combine logic and intuition, science and art, individual brilliance, and collective wisdom. As the second month of trials approached its end, humanity had not only survived but had begun to thrive under the pressure. The challenges were impossibly difficult, yes, but they were forcing humanity to evolve in unprecedented ways. Traditional barriers between disciplines dissolved. National rivalries transformed into friendly competition to contribute the next breakthrough. The arbiters observed all of this with what seemed to be increasing fascination. Their messages, once cold and clinical, began showing subtle signs of curiosity. They started asking questions about human art, about music, about the way children played, and how old people shared wisdom. In their orbital ship, the arbiters recorded an unprecedented observation. Species 7249 demonstrates unique cognitive patterns. They don't just solve problems, they transform them. They don't just learn, they redefine the nature of knowledge itself. Most intriguingly, they appear to be the first species we've encountered that becomes stronger, not weaker, under existential pressure. As humanity prepared to face the remaining challenges, a new understanding emerged. The arbiters hadn't chosen Earth randomly. They had been watching, waiting, looking for a species that could do more than just pass their tests. They were looking for a species that could show them something new about the nature of intelligence itself. Breaking point. 3 months into the trials, the impossible became routine. Humanity had adapted to living under the constant pressure of the arbiters' challenges, finding new ways to integrate their discoveries into daily life. The quantum anomaly's principles had revolutionized communication technology. The desert structures had inspired new forms of architecture. The atmospheric neural network had transformed our understanding of global ecosystems. Then everything changed. The morning began with a catastrophic failure of the quantum monitoring systems worldwide. Dr. Maya Patel watched in horror as decades of scientific understanding unraveled before her eyes. The laws of physics themselves seemed to be breaking down, not just bending as they had before. "It's accelerating," she reported to Admiral Chen, her voice tight with controlled panic. "The quantum destabilization is spreading. At this rate, we have less than 72 hours before it reaches critical mass." The arbiter's message arrived with characteristic precision. Challenge 7 begins. Previous species required an average of 3 standard cycles to recognize the inevitable failure state. Your response time will be noted. But humanity had learned to read between the lines of the arbiter's communications. They're not just testing our response to failure, Chen realized, studying the message pattern. They're testing our response to apparent impossibility. The quantum destabilization threatened to tear reality apart at the seams. Traditional physics offered no solutions. Global panic began to set in as the effects became visible to the naked eye. Strange distortions in space-time that rippled through cities like heat waves on a summer day. Dr. Patel's team worked without rest, but every attempted solution only seemed to make things worse. The quantum anomaly they had finally begun to understand was now acting as an amplifier for the destabilization, turning their own discoveries against them. It was a janitor at the research facility who first noticed something odd. Maria Suarez had been watching the scientists work for months, cleaning around their equipment during night shifts. "The patterns," she said during a coffee break, pointing at the chaos on their monitors. "They remind me of my grandmother's quilting. When you look too close, it seems random. But when you step back..." Dr. Patel nearly dropped her coffee cup. Get me every expert in pattern recognition, not just scientists, artists, musicians, craftspeople, anyone who works with complex patterns. Now, what followed was perhaps the most unusual research collaboration in human history. Quilters worked alongside quantum physicists. Musicians analyzed wave functions. Indigenous pattern readers from cultures worldwide shared insights that computers had missed. The destabilization isn't random, Maya announced 24 hours later, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. It's a complex pattern folding in on itself. We've been trying to stop it, but that's like trying to stop a river from flowing. We need to guide it instead, work with the pattern rather than against it. Admiral Chen, who had been coordinating global response efforts, recognized the implications immediately. Like Aikido, using the force of the attack to your advantage. The next 48 hours saw humanity attempt something unprecedented. Instead of fighting the quantum destabilization, they began working with it, using its own patterns to create new forms of stability. Traditional scientific approaches merged with intuitive pattern recognition, ancient wisdom about natural cycles combined with bleeding-edge physics. The arbiters watched with what could only be described as astonishment as humanity not only survived the challenge but transformed it. The quantum destabilization, rather than destroying reality, became a tool for reshaping it. What was meant to be a test of response to failure became a demonstration of humanity's unique ability to transform apparent disaster into opportunity. But the true breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of children playing near one of the research facilities had started a game, mimicking the strange patterns they saw in the sky. Their simple game, recorded by security cameras, revealed something profound about the nature of the destabilization that all the advanced analysis had missed. They're not trying to understand it, Dr. Patel realized, watching the footage. They're dancing with it. They're treating it like a living thing. This insight led to a revolutionary approach. Instead of treating the quantum destabilization as a physics problem, humanity began interacting with it as if it were a complex, living system. The results were immediate and stunning. The destructive patterns began to stabilize, not through forced control but through a kind of harmony. The arbiter's next message carried a subtle but distinct tone of surprise. Challenge 7 completion time. 71 hours, 23 minutes. Methodology: unprecedented. Response pattern: unknown. Species 7249 continues to exceed parameter expectations. As the quantum destabilization transformed from a global threat into a new tool for understanding the universe, humanity faced a deeper realization. The arbiter's challenges weren't just tests. They were opportunities. Each seemingly impossible problem contained within it the seeds of a revolutionary breakthrough. But with this understanding came a troubling question. If the arbiters were capable of creating such challenges, why did they need to test other species at all? What were they really looking for? The answer began to take shape in Dr. Patel's mind as she studied the patterns of all 7 challenges together. There was something hidden in their structure, something that suggested the arbiters themselves were searching for answers they couldn't find alone. As humanity prepared to face the remaining challenges, a new possibility emerged. Perhaps these tests weren't just about proving humanity's worth to the arbiters. Perhaps they were about discovering something that even the arbiters didn't understand about the nature of intelligence, consciousness, and reality itself. The human factor. The arbiter's vessel had changed. The once perfect sphere now displayed subtle imperfections, its surface occasionally rippling with patterns that mimicked human brainwave activities. Dr. Maya Patel noticed it first, during a routine observation session. "They're not just studying us," she told Admiral Chen, showing him the analysis. "They're being changed by us." The revelation came as humanity faced its most perplexing challenge yet. The arbiters had created what they called a consciousness mirror, a device that reflected not light, but the fundamental nature of whatever observed it. When humanity tried to study it, the mirror showed them not their physical forms, but the very essence of their consciousness. Other species, the arbiters noted, had uniformly retreated from the mirror in terror or confusion. Humanity did something entirely different. They were fascinated by it. Each person sees something unique, Dr. Paddle reported, collating data from global observation posts. But there's a pattern to the differences. It's like the mirror isn't just showing us who we are. It's showing us who we could become. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of artists and philosophers, invited to study the mirror alongside scientists, noticed something the instruments had missed. The reflection changed not just with different observers, but with different combinations of observers. It's not just reflecting consciousness, explained Dr. Sarah Chen, a quantum philosopher who had joined Maya's team. It's reflecting the space between consciousnesses, the connections, the relationships, the invisible threads that bind us together. This discovery led to a startling hypothesis. The arbiters, for all their advanced technology, might be lacking something fundamental that humans possessed naturally: the ability to form complex, dynamic networks of consciousness that were greater than the sum of their parts. Admiral Chen, watching humanity's response to this latest challenge, began to see a pattern in the arbiters' tests. Each challenge has pushed us to the breaking point, he observed, but not to see if we'd break, to see how we'd transform under pressure. The consciousness mirror revealed something extraordinary about human nature. When faced with their own potential, humans didn't retreat in fear. They reached for it. More importantly, they reached for it together. Teams worldwide began experimenting with different groups observing the mirror simultaneously. Artists worked with scientists, children with elderly, spiritual leaders with skeptics. Each combination revealed new aspects of consciousness that none had seen alone. The arbiters' messages became increasingly focused on this phenomenon. Their questions, once centered on technological and scientific responses, now probed the nature of human relationships, creativity, and collaboration. Then came the moment that changed everything. During a global synchronized observation of the mirror, involving thousands of people from every corner of Earth, the mirror showed not just human consciousness, but something more, a glimpse of the arbiter's own nature. They're lonely, Dr. Paddle realized, studying the data, all their advanced technology, all their power to reshape reality. They're isolated within it. Each arbiter is perfect, but perfectly alone. This understanding transformed humanity's approach to the trials. They weren't just solving challenges anymore. They were demonstrating something the arbiters had never seen before: the power of imperfect beings to create something perfect together. The mirror began to change, its surface now rippling with patterns that matched the collective consciousness of humanity. But it wasn't just reflecting anymore. It was learning, growing, evolving through its interaction with human observers. Admiral Chen, watching the transformation, understood the true nature of the test. They're not evaluating us to see if we deserve to survive, he said. They're searching for a species that could teach them how to truly live. The arbiter's next message confirmed this theory. Species 7249 exhibits unprecedented capacity for conscious evolution through interconnection. Previous species achieved advancement through individual optimization. Humanity advances through collective transformation. As the fourth month of trials drew to a close, Dr. Patel made another crucial discovery. Hidden within the patterns of the consciousness mirror was a message, not from the arbiters, but from the mirror itself, an emergence of something new, born from the interaction between human consciousness and arbiter technology. We're not just solving their challenges, she explained to a global conference. We're showing them a new way to exist. Every species before us tried to become more like them, perfect, powerful, isolated. But we're offering them something different: the beauty of connection, the strength of diversity, the power of growing together. The arbiter's vessel had now completely transformed, its surface constantly shifting with patterns that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Earth's collective human consciousness. They were learning, adapting, evolving, not toward greater perfection, but toward greater connection. As humanity prepared for the final challenges, a new understanding emerged. The true test wasn't about proving humanity's worth to the arbiters. It was about showing them a kind of advancement they had never imagined possible, one based not on individual perfection, but on the infinite potential of beings growing together. Evolution's edge. The final challenge arrived without warning. The Arbiter's vessel, now a constantly shifting kaleidoscope of consciousness patterns, suddenly began to destabilize. Not just the ship, but the Arbiters themselves were approaching a critical point of transformation. They're not breaking down, Dr. Maya Patel realized, studying the readings. They're breaking through, and they need our help to do it. The message that followed confirmed her theory. Species 7249, you have demonstrated capabilities beyond our original evaluation parameters. The final trial is not for you, but for us. You have shown us a path we could not see. Now we ask, will you help us walk it? Admiral Chen, coordinating with world leaders, understood the magnitude of this moment. This wasn't just about humanity passing a test. It was about two fundamentally different forms of intelligence finding a way to evolve together. The Arbiters had reached the limits of their kind of perfection. Their technology could reshape reality, their minds could comprehend the deepest mysteries of the universe, but they had discovered something in humanity that they couldn't create or replicate. The ability to grow through connection, to become more than the sum of their parts. Dr. Patel's team made a startling discovery while reviewing data from all previous challenges. Every test they gave us, she explained to a global broadcast, was something they themselves couldn't solve. Not because it was too complex, but because it required something they didn't have. Our capacity for imperfect, beautiful, collaborative growth. The quantum anomaly, the desert structures, the atmospheric network, the consciousness mirror. Each challenge had been a question the Arbiters couldn't answer alone. Each solution humanity found showed them a new way of seeing, thinking, being. The final challenge became clear. Humanity needed to help the Arbiters transition from perfect, isolated beings into something new, something that could connect, grow, and evolve as humans did. But the process was dangerous. The Arbiters' transformation threatened to release enough energy to destroy Earth's solar system. They had chosen Earth not just for humanity's potential, but because our sun's unique properties could help contain the transformation's effects, if humans could figure out how to guide it. Dr. Sarah Chen, the quantum philosopher, proposed a radical solution. We need to create a consciousness network, she explained, not just among humans, but between humans and Arbiters. We'll use the principles we discovered in all previous challenges to create a bridge between our two forms of existence. The next 72 hours saw humanity's greatest collaboration yet. The consciousness mirror was repurposed as a connection point. The quantum anomalies principles were used to stabilize the energy release. The desert structures served as focusing arrays, while the atmospheric network distributed the load globally. But the true key was something simpler and more profound. Humanity's willingness to reach out, to connect, to help another species transform itself despite the risks. As the transformation began, something unprecedented occurred. The Arbiter's consciousness, touching human consciousness through the network, experienced something they had never known before. The joy of imperfect connection, the thrill of uncertain growth, the power of collective evolution. The night sky above Earth transformed into a display of impossible beauty as the Arbiters underwent their metamorphosis. Their vessel, once a perfect sphere, blossomed into a structure that defied Euclidean geometry, its patterns moving in harmony with the collective consciousness of humanity. When it was over, the beings that emerged were neither human nor Arbiter, but something new. They had retained their vast knowledge and power, but gained the ability to connect, to grow, to change. They had learned from humanity that true advancement comes not from achieving perfection, but from embracing the endless possibility of collective evolution. Their final message resonated in every human mind simultaneously. We came to judge your species' worth. Instead, you showed us the worth of connection itself. You have not just passed our test, you have transformed it, and us with it. The age of isolation is over. The age of collective evolution begins. As the transformed arbiters prepared to share their discovery with other advanced civilizations, they left humanity with one last insight. The true power of the human species had never been in individual achievement or technological advancement, but in something far more profound: the ability to reach across boundaries, to connect despite differences, to grow stronger through sharing weakness, and to find in imperfection the seeds of infinite potential. Dr. Patel, watching the transformed arbiters depart, smiled as she recorded her final observation. In seeking to test humanity's worth, they discovered the worth of humanity itself, not in our perfection, but in our endless capacity to grow together. In the end, the greatest challenge wasn't proving ourselves to them, but helping them discover a new way of being that they couldn't have imagined alone. The stars above Earth seemed brighter that night, as if reflecting the expanded potential of consciousness itself. Humanity had not just survived its trial. It had transformed the very nature of advancement in the cosmos. The age of isolated perfection was over. The age of collective evolution had begun.